Dorian Yates and Phil Heath, two of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. 1997 and 2020, not the best versions of these two dudes. In fact, probably their worst Olympia versions. This is your winning video. You pick Tuesday winning video. Get it up to 500 likes because I would like to do the rest of them, including that Victor Richards Neckzilla Rubial Mosquera. That would be an awesome one. Been thinking about doing that one for a while. But anyway, 500 likes. That's all we need. So, Dorian Yates, his last Olympia. Phil Heath, his last Olympia as well. Solid version here for Phil Heath in this front double. Obviously, his midsection, it's not going to be the best. It was never the best in 2017, 18, and then obviously he wasn't there in 2019, and here in 2020, you can see, not the best. Dorian's midsection, his V-taper, I think it's a heck of a lot better than Phil Heath's. Now, if you look at the limbs, which I'm sure most of you had started off with, looking at Dorian's arm, the crusty old arm, Phil Heath wins. He wins hands down. He wins very handily. So it's a midsection issue versus a very bad bicep, very bad tricep. Now, it's a black and white picture. Here's a colored one. If it makes any difference to you guys, get a better shot of that arm. Wow-wee. Wow-wee. Keep in mind, guys, this is an Olympia winning arm in the maybe one of the best eras in bodybuilding, late 90s, mid to late 90s, and this is what was represented as winning the title. Wow, unbelievable. Legs, I guess Phil's winning in that aspect, but it's actually very close. Here's the front lat spread. Now, finished off with the legs on the first shot. Now, I'll start off with this one. Wheels are actually close. Dorian, not bad. Huge, big teardrops. Never known for cross striations. Neither was Phil. Phil, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Upper body, Dorian has this one. Dorian has this one more handily than Phil Heath had that front double. Well, remember that arm, guys. Remember that arm. Either which way, this is still right till his last day. Dorian's last Olympia. He was outstanding in this shot. And dominant. Turn to the side chest development. Good big chest of Dorian. You can see his far pec. Nice, very nice. Phil, I like the closer pec, the display of it. Dorian, he's still doing the 70s bow. Can you imagine that one? And here is where, if the arms come into play, Phil's arms, 2020, much like, say, Arnold Schwarzenegger in his last Olympia, his arms were the last thing to go. And in this pose, I would probably give this one to Phil. Probably give it to Phil. Wheels, yeah, Phil has that hanging hamstring. And Dorian's not going to be bullying him in the calf department. Not too many bodybuilders that can say that. Huh? Here's the side tricep. And for you Dorianites, hold on a second. Don't get mad at me yet. This is a bad picture for Dorian. But I looked through them, and it is really the best representation of his 1997 side tricep. Wasn't the biggest tricep. His other arm was even worse, and obviously you tear your tricep on one arm, the other arm, that's going to go down too. There's a lot of moves or a lot of lifts that you can't do. Just one arm. Phil Heath, like I said, arm, this is prime time Phil Heath. And when it's even close, if either one of these guys are close to their prime, come on. Phil Heath. Oh, hoo-ha, the hoo-ha scent of a bodybuilder. I hardly ever push for that hoo-ha anymore. That is a shame. But that's how it goes, guys. If it's not working for you, just do something else. But a hoo-ha will always stick around in my mind. And Dorian losing in the arm department, yes. But the midsection is more than enough for me to give this one, not fur. What are you looking at my gut for? What are you looking at my gut for? Well, it's sticking out, Phil. Phil, that's what Phil says. What are you looking at my gut for? Not Phil Heath. Phil Collins. Philadelphia Collins. Never mind. Here is the back shots, the all-important back poses. And if you put Dorian in a wind tunnel here, I'm sure you'd see a little bit of loose skin flapping from the bum. That's what they do. They put them in wind tunnels to see. Oh, still some skin moving here. Phil Heath, he'd hold. I definitely think he'd hold pretty tight in a wind tunnel. But all jokes aside, glutes a little tighter for Phil. Hamstrings definitely tighter in the lower half. Calves for Dorian, calves for Phil Heath. Back itself, Dorian, traps are huge. It's not a straight-on shot. Symmetry's going to be down a little bit. I think symmetry wouldn't be perfect anyway. Phil, known for being perfectly symmetrical in the back. It's unbelievable, realistically. So, harder to size too. Phil, smaller, but a nicer back. It's actually close. Here's the rear double. And a different shot here for Dorian. And I think this is the best one for him to show, to display actually some striations in them glutes. The guy was very conditioned. But I don't see anything, I don't think he's any more conditioned than he was, Dorian. I think 93, there's a couple of pictures that do show his hamstrings, glutes, and he was pizzled. But in 97, not as much. Hard, grainy nature of the back. It is better than Phil's, as far as that's concerned. But it's more than just the lats, guys. The lats, obviously much bigger, but very unsymmetrical. Traps huge for Dorian. Perfectly symmetrical again for Phil. If you toss the arms in there, if that makes any difference to you whatsoever, then Phil Heath wins this one. Hands down. Hands down. Abs and thigh, Dorian Yates, he'd win this one. Hands down, hands down. Harder to size, like I said. Some of these older pictures distorted. I don't think Dorian was that wide. I think this picture, look at his jaw. I don't think his jaw was that wide. My soul! He looks like a big Terminator robot. Looks like one of those roosters. Come along, fellas. Let's go to the old hen house. Pick up a couple of... Never mind. I keep these videos clean. Keep these videos without, controversy from Dorian Yates and his dastardly ways. And I said dastardly, not the other word. Here's the most muscular to end this one off with. And Dorian, yes, he was very ripped indeed. Conditioned, thin skin, things of that nature. So is Phil. Big midsection compared to Dorian now. Also a narrow clavicle. Doesn't show up in this one quite so much because Dorian's picture is tilted thusly. So just imagine him a little bit wider. But the arms wouldn't be any better, I'll be honest with you. Phil Heath's arms are downtown, uptown, whatever part of town. Phil Heath, this is absolutely smoking Dorian Yates in the most muscular. But all in all, Dorian's he's still holding his head up high. But he's not winning. He's not defeating Phil Heath. I think Phil Heath, the midsection was less noticeable, I would suggest, than the torn bicep, tricep in that front double. You're always going to go back to that. And the Dorianites are always going to go back to, aside from that, he was great. Aside from that, he wasn't at his best. No, he wasn't. Wasn't at his peak. And it makes a difference. Side chest, side tricep, things of that nature. Makes a big difference in those certain shots. Most muscular as well. So, Phil Heath, maybe not at his best. Dorian Yates, not at his best. But I would give the victory to Phil Heath. And it is definitely open to debate. And that's what makes this sport so very fun. Let us know in the comment section below. Who is winning? Would Ronnie King Coleman, 2007, be able to defeat these two dudes? Or say 2006? His last Olympia? Well, second place anyway. Then he placed, fourth? Have a great one, guys.
Oh, come on! Subscribe to my channel, please, if you have not already. And if you would like to, check out my latest video as well. And there is a playlist if you want to really help me out. You could watch a bunch of videos as well. Have a great one, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, come on, Billy!